66 seconds of logos and menus. 6-pound plankton weighed that switch down. First joke aside, why doesn't Karen remind him to flip the switch? She's an egg, so why not?
Another perfect day playing robots and racehorses. Wouldn't it be great if we had real robots to play with?
Oh, the racehorses chop liver?
Then we say the magic wishing words and shake the magic wishing chair.
You had to say that in a way that sounds like something from Barney.
Aren't we going to say the magic wishing words?
You already did!
So, okay is the magic wishing word?
It could be anything you said, but sure. That must have been a series of convenient things to make it look like the show actually worked. If you press the home button during cutscenes, they start lagging. They wished for robots on the same day Plankton created evil robots so they could blame themselves. I'm glad they improved how characters express themselves like normal cutscenes so they're not smiling when they're upset anymore.
So much for fixing this quietly.
Did you think they wouldn't notice the entire town was attacked? This ringer inspired one of the worst Spongebob episodes. The door transition was cooler in the first game. Who liked Spongebob inside his own house? I love the attention to detail they added to the backgrounds.
Trying to steal the Krabby Patty formula again.
I'm surprised you guessed this, considering you're always gullible enough to think Plankton's your friend after he tried to steal the formula 100 times.
They even bent all my spoons.
Sabrina would like these robots.
If you can get me back into the chum bucket, I'll give you a bucket full of golden spatulas. In your dreams.
Probably unintended foreshadowing.
This flapping robot crisis is making the Krusty Krab lose money like a sinking ship.
Darn it, they couldn't get Clancy Brown to voice Mr. Krabs like normal? Why did they double the amount of shiny objects you have to give him?
You're going to need to learn some new bubble-blowing moves if you're going to journey to the 9th dimension and defeat the giant monkey man.
I want to see SpongeBob and Patrick go on an adventure to slay the giant monkey man. It's been 21 years already. The 9th Dimensionian suffered long enough. I think I preferred when we got introduced to more tikis as the game went on as opposed to seeing them all now. A habitat for wild jellyfish is taxi accessible. Did the robots and jellyfish decide to abandon Squidward after zapping him?
I guess you're off to scale Spork Mountain and die a horrible death.
Remember, he's doing this for you.
I'll bring back that king jellyfish jelly for you to rub all over yourself.
Ew. Let's hope the garbage man doesn't take these boxes away. Is it just me, or is SpongeBob slightly slower in this remake? I miss when we didn't get stuck with loading screens whenever we died, and when it didn't reset the music. Is this canon slaughtering Mrs. Puff's family? The butt jokes were never really funny. If this wreck's teetering, it could break off at any moment.
Huh? What?
If they can have Mermaid Man without Ernest Borgnine's voice, that defeats the purpose of removing Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy from the show. Sand licking. This is supposedly the first real battle in the game, but it's possible to beat without hitting a single robot. Patrick seems perfectly safe from the robots from where he is. If anything, raising these platforms would make it easier for them to reach him. And if that's a joke, they don't make that clear. Patrick gives us a spatula, then we're automatically switching to him, so he gets our reward. These teeter-totters conveniently have Patrick's image on them, as if whoever built it somehow knew only Patrick could use them. Game rips off Crash Bandicoot with the wooden, explosive, and seemingly unbreakable boxes.
The rock is talking to me. Oh, mighty rock, I am at your command.
While this game's humor isn't quite as good as you'd expect from SpongeBob, it still does have a decent amount of good jokes, this one included.
I was in an undesirable position yesterday, and now my neck hurts.
Funny, but you have no neck. That moment when you realize this cave's pretty much a glorified tutorial, and the whole stack of watermelon on top of another one thing isn't going to be done again in this game. The freezy fruit doesn't cause it to snow anymore. I know that was illogical, but this is a bigger sin than that.
That monster has been stinging all my good customers in their poop decks.
What the heck was King Jellyfish doing at the Krusty Krab? Discount Beaker from the Muppets.
Can I get a cookie?
No.
No need to be so rude about it. These cork platforms or whatever aren't being pushed down the river. Do you really think we want to see this thing give birth on screen? He left his water on and it's draining way too quickly.
This is why I don't go outside.
Except for work.
Ever.
We have to evacuate.
Can we just load them up in the boats?
Or just leave the town on foot. The Chewbots don't get any introductions like the other robots do. Cute detail with the word hi being written in flowers. This anchovy survives this. Lucky that this didn't drop on the anchovy. Cool scene. How did Gary get up there, let alone push something that heavy? Where did the robots get all this hot sauce? Where did that boat come from? And how is it not falling over when positioned like this? Someone has a button that closes their window outside their house.
This door is locked from the inside. Who would do such a thing?
This is what I meant when I said this game's jokes aren't quite up to standard for SpongeBob. But at least we can teach children that people who stay safe are bad. Mr. Krabs is actually asking SpongeBob to go on the hooks that he told him to stay away from.
Why would I want want to break the tikis, Mr. Krabs.
For the same reason you've been breaking them throughout the entire game. For one reason or another, some jerk decided that this door should take us back to the beginning of the town. Gary seems to be granting SpongeBob some kind of eagle eyes if he can show SpongeBob the entire town just like that.
Uh-oh, more robots.
I feel like that's supposed to be one of the reasons SpongeBob will need Sandy's help, but SpongeBob's handled robots up to this point. I mean, yeah, the gaps are impossible to cross without Sandy's help, but the robots? Can spinning your lasso like this even help Sandy glide across gaps? These buildings have been knocked over, meaning that these robots are worse than we thought, since they actually caused mass genocide.
And I can't do all those fancy moves you and SpongeBob do to get across these gaps.
Considering how good you are at staying in shape, that's honestly surprising that you can't jump that far.
So what are you gonna do with the old antenna?
It's yours if you replace it with a new one.
Gee, thanks. I'm pretty sure SpongeBob is the only one in town who wears these kinds of pants. So why are his pants being hung on this clothesline? Debbie doesn't hear this torpedo. This level means a great deal of nostalgia for me.
Claps for messing with Texas.
Sandy would not do well with trolls. This reminder's kinda obvious. Sandy, the toughest one of the 3 playable characters, can't even press switches on the ground. Don't you dare tell me these stupid morons decided the floor shouldn't collapse like puzzle pieces anymore. Darn it!
Goo Lagoon, a sun-drenched beach of sludge.
Whatever happened to a stinky mud puddle? SpongeBob, despite not being very strong, can flip this wooden platform really quickly. Now I'm curious to know what each of these buttons on the Monsoon Robot's remote do. Where's Billy running to? Is he running into a wall?
That robot is out on the island. Nobody can get to him.
How did he even get out there in the first place?
Maybe you can use those sun reflectors to point the sun's rays on that robot.
Yeah, but I don't think that'll get everyone's sunscreen back. The people aren't freaking out that their towels are floating in the air. And they couldn't even have them fly up from the sand anymore. You know what? I'll just add 10 cents right now for every instance of the animators being completely lazy compared to in the original game. I'm glad that we sent the rescued children all the way back here instead of potentially knocking them into the water, drowning them like in the original.
I heard that you were collecting golden spatulas.
Have you been living under Patrick's rock? You've known that ever since we started our journey.
We were having a sandcastle contest, and somebody put a golden spatula on the top.
No, they put it near the top. They put a sock on the top.
Water rising. Must get to higher ground.
The fact that this line isn't quoted enough. These steel cannons are easily destroyed by your simple bubble wand. This meme's honestly overused. Well, at least it's not as overused as the Patrick That's Up meme. Where are their cave drawings anyway? Are you saying they didn't fade away in the millions of years they've been up? There's no way to get into the ticket booth. How did this robot get in? We're told that our objective is to defeat the robot in the ticket booth, but the name of the quest is clear out the bumper boats, which spoils what we're really doing in this mission. And destroying the robot and ticket booth somehow causes the whole platform to crack, makes these platforms come out of here, and causes the Ferris wheel on the other platform to sink. Then again, I guess I should expect as much of someone as cheap as Mr. Krabs seems to run this place. Even after we destroyed the ticket booth, Mr. Krabs still trusts Patrick with this task. Going into the skee-ball machine kills you. I'm disappointed that the battle theme doesn't play in this segment. I don't think heat would make robots explode quite that fast. This trampoline launches you to the exact point where you can talk to Larry.
I've got nerves of steel and muscles of sand.
Muscles of sand? What?
My Poseidon has been breached.
Can't you handle it? You're a god. These falling sparks don't hurt us.
Patrick, we're not playing.
How can a sponge crack his knuckles?
Cry all you want, but not here. We just wax the floors.
SpongeBob, I'm your friend, right?
Not really.
But you always stupidly trust him. SpongeBob forgot his water helmet. This straight up face is actually kind of creepy. These robots burst through and made an awfully small leak. How did Sandy cover up this leak while she's out fighting robots?
I got a treehouse chock full of robots and it's all your fault.
You seriously believe these robots were caused by us using some plastic shell? Also, the wishing shell was Patrick's idea. I've always wondered what this time limit's for. Is it because SpongeBob will dry up? Because the time limit disappears after you beat the robots. SpongeBob barely looks like he's laughing. I mean, you walked up to an evil robot and tapped him on the back. What did you think would happen? Weren't the question marks in the bathrooms reversed?
The robots have stolen priceless artwork from the museum. If you can return it all to me, I'll reward you with a golden spatula.
Why do you want all that artwork?
This game literally just sinned itself. It's implying that Mrs. Puff is actually an attempted art thief. Then again, this is a character who would be driven to the point of trying to get SpongeBob killed 9 years later. Nice throwback, but the bus was leaving, not entering. I'm just surprised they even kept the reference in. Also, these bus drivers are still jerks to SpongeBob even after 3 years. I'm going to send these sleepy times for the amount of anxiety they caused me as a kid. Bubble Buddy shouldn't be out here. He could easily be popped by the robots. This part's a bit annoying. How would this bus get all the way up here near the roof?
You have have to iron those pants or are they wrinkle-free? Unlike you.
SpongeBob is a jerk to Barnacle Boy.
If we don't get this robot thing resolved, Shady Shoals will shut down.
And how would stopping the museum security system prevent that?
You see that vent on the other side of the museum?
He shouldn't because of how far away it is. I've been to a lot of museums, and I don't remember any being this small. I've seen children's museums bigger than this. This museum has cowboy clothes and artwork in the same room. The museum has tires and clam chowder on display. Was this spatula on display? Did we steal it? Why is this museum holding these old people captive? Belonging in the trash, I mean Bold and Brash, actually made it to the museum. I guess the museum employees are as easily impressed as the newscasters in Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. Why is there a slide at the end of the museum? Where did these platforms fall out from?
Meow. Say, that's a good idea, Gary. I'll try that.
Look, I do think this game has good jokes in it. It's just that somewhat forced jokes are easier to find than you'd think. This platform isn't even solid.
Now go step in front of the lasers.
Nope. I could do that even if I wanted to. Not gonna lie, I completely forgot Mr. Krabs was here. And considering how many times I've played this game when I was a kid, that's probably not the best of signs.
The museum will finally be able to reopen.
And we're trusting her. Why? Attacking the TV changes the channel. I don't remember the Murmler having bottomless pits.
You shouldn't sneak up on Mermaid Man like that.
We didn't really sneak up on him. He was looking in different directions, including the one we came from.
It's up to you to shut it down and stop them!
Why are you talking so slowly? Funny shot, but where's this hook coming from? Doesn't this game already have evil dog robots? Also, the description says they fetch sponges and chase squirrels, but Sandy never encounters these guys. I may not like the episode Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 4, but I know the invisible boatmobile looked much different than that. For someone who hates SpongeBob, Squidward sure seems to meet us a lot. We're not even looking for him.
Those two old coots sent me in to get updated with the Murmler computer.
Even though Squidward can't defend himself from the robots. Aren't these two supposed to be at a doctor's appointment? Or was that another joke that's not clear enough that it's a joke?
You did it! Now I can get some sleep.
What did the machines do that kept you awake anyway? Suddenly this game turned into the color dungeon from Link's Awakening DX. Why do the machines keep making that buzzer sound, deceiving you into thinking you're doing it wrong?
What do you need all that power for?
Why my foot bath?
I get the joke. Barnacle Boy's treating it like it was extremely urgent. But isn't Barnacle Boy supposed to be the smart one of the two? Linking metal is not a smart thing to do. Think of all the germs on that metal. Oh, hello, Murmler Computer. I don't remember you ever having a voice in the show. Like I said in my worst SpongeBob episodes list, I honestly think this meme is overused.
There's gold under that glass.
You can very clearly see that's a golden spatula. And you know what golden spatulas are.
My eyes are getting sweaty just looking at it.
This segment gave me a lot of agony as a kid. The ball gets launched at the exact angle it needed to be launched at.
You also cut the power to the Murmler's VCS.
The Murmler Computer told us to push the buttons. Prawn, did they really need to make Prawn look like a Freddy Fish character?
What did Prawn do?
The worst thing you can imagine. He put all of Mermaid Man's white clothes in the washer with a red sock. Everything I own turned pink. Pink!
That's right, kids. If your parents make a simple laundry mistake, that means they're out to get you. Hope that's worth this joke that barely even tries.
Are you still here?
You're welcome! I love this level, but I'm also somewhat upset that it's an imitation ice level instead of an actual ice level. Kinda like the episode Plankton's Old Chum, which is still fun, mind you.
I need to borrow your toothbrush again.
You've used it before?
SpongeBob was a jerk to Squidward.
I try and get some exercise to relax from all this robot mess.
Then you've come to the wrong place, because a fast-paced skiing area is no place to relax.
I will lose my marbles if I don't get some relaxation.
This leads to a good joke, but Squidward doesn't expect SpongeBob to take that literally.
I've got mine right here.
No, you don't.
I'll give you one for each slope you clear.
If that's him giving us these golden spatulas at the bottom of the slopes, he must be giving them to us telepathically. Who puts a sock in a Sandman?
Sure, if you fall down to the bottom of this pit. I suppose you could bungee down.
Which is it? Are you trying to help us or do you want us to kill ourselves?
I've gone down this hill 100 times, usually rolling. Darn kids think it's funny to push me.
Where the heck are those kids' parents? Who puts a retirement home billboard on a ski slope? The frame rate in these sections is awful in the Switch version. I should have gotten the PS4 version when I had the chance. These slopes actually expect people to be able to jump like that. I'm surprised the people who made the ski slopes haven't been sued yet. Why doesn't the battle music play in the Sand Mountain enemy gauntlets anymore? If this is sand and not snow, how is this ground frozen? People are wearing winter coats on Sand Mountain.
I fly like the wind and float like a sea bee.
CB, these ski slopes are actually awesome. Why would the people who designed these slopes install spikes? And what kids would build sandmen on the ski slopes where someone could crash into them? If they're gonna endanger themselves like that, then let the demolition of their sandmen be a lesson to them. These stickies are pretty much pointless since it's almost impossible to reach them in time, and you can get shiny objects pretty much anywhere. The trampoline wasn't facing in this direction, so how did it launch us in the other direction? Why do we have to crush these innocent people with a giant sand ball? That is just horrible. I'm getting 5 cents for that.
Actually, I think that Patrick borrowed your equipment.
What? Who said he could do that?
I did.
SpongeBob is still a jerk to Squidward.
This day just doesn't seem to be getting any better.
It's still the same day?
Maybe that button on his back is a self-destruct.
Looks more like a sign. Even when it flips up, no button.
That hot goo could melt anything.
Except the floor and robot.
I think I have fudge in my pants.
And then stomp on your children. And stomp on your children's children.
And then stomp on your children's children's children!
What are we going to do, Mr. Krabs?
We, meaning you.
They just made that joke a minute ago with Plankton. That sounds nothing like Mr. Krabs' laugh.
An interesting area with many sights to see, for those that don't get hopelessly lost first.
Great, this game's aware of the problem with this level. Frankie decides to Mario Odyssey this tubulant. This platform falls in the exact direction where it would crush the robots. Famous Fly Slap.
Driving class isn't out here today, is it?
Will the schools even be open at a time like this?
No,
Sending
SpongeBob.
people to school during a robot attack would put them in danger.
Do you think we'd have class out here just to hide from you?
I can see what Mrs. Puff's
How
doing,
silly.
but even if I was
I'm
led to
just,
believe that my teacher
gathering
took everyone
twigs
but
for
me
the
on a
winter.
camping
Yes,
trip, I'd
that's
still
it.
be pretty mad. Also, how would she be able to have driving tests in
I have
this
a merit
place?
badge in
There's no
twig
roads out
gathering.
here. And isn't this whole jig up as
Actually,
soon
you
as
can
the
help
students
with
tell
something
SpongeBob,
else.
oh,
These
we're not
robots
camping, we're
showed
having
up
class
in
out
skin
here.
all-
Even though it's obvious that these are actually students, the game still lists them as campers.
I'm trying to return 3 stone tikis to this pedestal so I can get to the kelp cave across that bridge. There could be customers in there.
Yeah, if they want to get themselves killed. Thank goodness they fixed the horrible darkness in this place, making it much easier to see. However, it's still the weakest level in the game because of the dreary color scheme. And this cave is still kind of frustrating. Who puts a bus stop in a cave? Well, I guess that answers my question about if Mrs. Puff could have driving tests all the way out here.
There!
What happened?
I gained the power to trim my nose hairs at super speed.
That joke would have been relatively harmless if the crystals weren't such a pain to get. Hope you appreciate the hardships we had to endure to help you. Also, you said your power was a secret. So why did you suddenly decide to tell us?
I'm always happy to lend my services to my favorite superhero.
I thought you liked Mermaid Man more than Barnacle Boy. I do appreciate the attention to details, making these look more like the kelp vines. This slide segment's still kinda annoying though.
Hey, this is mine.
It's as if the game's self-aware of this, which is kinda funny, but at the same time, Patrick still rewards you for getting the socks, including the ones he collects.
And it was actually fun exploring the kelp forest.
I mean, it wasn't horrible like it was in the original, but the dull colors and being somewhat hard to navigate can make it kinda annoying at times. I don't remember actually seeing the Dutchman's graveyard in the show.
But I'm not a shell scout.
Cell Scout.
It's these darn robots. They've thrown me off my own ship, they have.
Can they even touch you? You're a ghost. The Flying Dutchman relies on the same guy who disappointed him in Shanghai.
But if you do this, a golden spatula be your booty.
Just not the one I'm showing you. And someone was just brutally murdered in boiling acid. These mats aren't falling over so we can jump on them. I don't think that would make the lake drain that quickly. There's a horrible glitch that deceives you into thinking you're finished getting the spatula when you actually haven't. And for that I'm adding another 5 cents. I like this song, but the second half of it's not as awesome as the first half in my mind. Snakes are the most annoying enemies in the game because of their shields, combined with the slippery puddles they make. This end of the mast phases through the ground when it's landed. The music just turns off on this anchor.
There's one up there.
You saw it all the way up there? Guess those eyes of his aren't big just for show. Wow, we only play as Sandy for like 2 minutes at this part. Brought to you by the final act in Hercules. The Flying Dutchman relies on us to do his work instead of simply zapping the robots off the ships. Really? They were that lazy to not even show the robot ship being destroyed? At least we now have a lazy design choice that this game shares with the original version. Also, didn't the Dutchman's ship have a green glow around it?
But now that I look at it, I think I'll keep this golden spatula.
Villain refuses end of the bargain cliche.
It's so nice and shiny.
Isn't greed what you got on Mr. Krabs' case for Born Again Krabs? This just makes you look like a hypocrite.
Never make a deal with a ghost.
That's Ghostess.
Deals don't mean anything to me.
Except the one you made in Shanghai.
Except for that great deal I got on a butter churn back in 1873.
This franchise likes to play with the Dutchman's age. This says he's lived in the 1800s, but in SpongeBob vs. the Big One, he said he dated Mr. Krabs and Sally, implying he lived in the 1900s. Fire nose blowing.
I'll have you know this jacket has been cleaned twice.
You wanted a dirty in Shanghai, and how many times do I have to bring up that episode?
It looks like my ship.
At least until it pops. This is the best world in the entire game.
Gary, what are you doing here?
You didn't notice Gary right in front of you when I'm pretty sure he's still in your eyesight. And yes, I know I'm sending dream logic now, but CinemaSins would have done the same. The mustache goes over his nose.
You mean each dream bubble has a golden spatula in it?
Or two. And now I'm going to take off even more sins for this game's soundtrack. This game decides to be a trippy Mario 64 ROM hack. The bouncing ball segment is somewhat annoying, especially if you don't do it right, you have to climb these spiked blocks again. If you can take golden spatulas out of SpongeBob's dream, I'm pretty sure these dreams are still sendable. This slide segment is just so epic. Did they seriously just show poop in a kid's game? I guess we should be thankful this isn't Crash Bandicoot, otherwise it would be pretty much impossible to get the gem without dying.
Who puts challenges in their own dreams?
Even as someone setting a dream, I'm still going to call Plankton's statement down. We can't control what we dream of.
Squirrels? We're tough like that.
I don't think there are that many squirrels that are as tough as you.
It'll make your head spin faster than a horny toad.
That's
on a
disgusting.
merry-go-round.
Wow, these cows are jerks. Also, I don't think 3 balloons are enough to support the weight of these 2,000-pound cows. I really wanted to take off sins for this beautiful story design, but then they had to ruin it with more poop.
For heaven's sake, boy, cover your ears.
I can't hear any music aside from the dream music, which I think is actually pretty awesome. Or is the SpongeBob's dream music actually coming from Squidward? If so, then he sounds like he got better.
Mr. Krabs? What are you doing in Squidward's dream?
That's actually a really good question. I wish that we could talk to Squidward and Mr. Krabs actually in their respective dreams, instead of having it be the other way around. Seriously, what gives?
When you get there, try to wake him up.
I'd be glad to if it were possible. I'm pretty sure that would go 2 notes lower instead of 1 note. Squidward isn't at all fazed by SpongeBob on his nose. Just like how Mr. Krabs was in Squidward's dream, why is Squidward in Mr. Krabs' dream?
It's like a shiny golden toothpick that holds together the bun of...
I've never seen Krabby Patties ever be served with those. I've seen real sandwiches served with those, but not Krabby Patties. They included unused content from the original, but all the formerly unused content's multiplayer exclusive. At least it's not entirely false advertising. It's still here, but it's still maddening. Robo Squidward's pretty much just an enemy gauntlet anyway. And it goes on forever. Those clarinet notes actually get repetitive.
A robot SpongeBob.
Why didn't you see it moments ago?
You're behind all this, aren't you?
You've known that since your second conversation with Plankton in the final hub area.
I registered the name, so don't even think you're ripping me off.
Viacom.
They're obeying me.
This twist had no build-up.
I knew I shouldn't have made a copy of myself.
We were told they didn't obey because you didn't pull the lever. Now we're told it's because you intentionally made a copy of yourself? The chum bucket wasn't this huge.
Let's act like that.
Does everything Robo SpongeBob says attack? I thought robots couldn't laugh. Remember Crabborg? SpongeBob survives this.
You don'ts are destroying my beautiful bride. We were supposed to get married next week.
Pointless gay joke. Oh no. Anchor arms. Even though they turn out to be useless. The Bubble Bowl is zap-proof. The Duplicatotron summons these Robo-Planktons to antagonize each other, but walls stop them from destroying the town. Plankton's bigger than normal. The theater charges too much. Why is Plankton allowing the Krusty Krab during this song?
Is this the Krusty Krab?
No! This is Patrick!